Good evening and welcome to News Sources, one of the few places where you can say what you mean and mean what you say. My name is Julie Masiga, sitting in for James Smart and Dennis Onserigo. And before we get right into it, the highlights.
When elected president, my government will pursue and facilitate a review of the Constitution to be able to restructure devolution and allocate more resources to the devolved units.
The doctors have been told for a very long time, you can't, we don't want this, go back, Hippocratic nonsense.
We have completed Form 1 selection for both national and extra-county schools today.
Right, the Wiper Party today all but confirmed its intentions for the 2017 elections. The party has officially handed its party leader, Steven Kalonzo Musyoka, the ticket to run for presidency. Kalonzo is expected to now move forward and negotiate with his coalition partners within Quad and new alliances. Well, 2017, game on. Right, so Kalonzo there, the first person from a particular party within the Quad coalition to be actually named the flag bearer by his party members. So what does this portend for Quad? Does it mean if you hold a snap election today, then we go with Kalonzo or what, Oruko?
No. This is part of the process to organize themselves. I think there has been an agreement that every party should put its house in order, fix its issues first, then we shall converge at some point now to get the final candidate to carry the Quad flag to the elections. So it is not a question of a snap election, really. It's something must start somewhere, and It has just started today. So maybe in the next few days, we're going to see Ford Kenya also coming up to endorse. No, in fact, last week, it's not the first. Musalia,
actually the third.
Actually the third. Musalia was endorsed, and I think Raila has also been endorsed. Am I right?
No, Nani has been endorsed.
Musalia?
Wetangula was endorsed.
Yeah. So it's the third in the process, the part of the works. So probably we shall see ODM doing the same, and then go to the elections as one united thing.
Right, but Gisasa, does he have any real chance, Kalonzo?
You see what happens. Today has been a very good day for Kalonzo Musyoka. And I think even him is going to sleep a very, very happy mind, because in the past, you remember the names used to be referred to as the watermelon, especially in 2007. 2013, he didn't stand for the presidency. And if you see the kind of organization that has been there today, I think Wiper is a party that needs to be taken serious, especially in the Quad coalition or in the near upcoming NASA coalition. And this means a lot for Kalonzo Musyoka in these terms that he's never received the kind of support today. I think you remember the last time when he said in 2007 he moved out of the coalition with the likes of Raila Odinga because he was booed in a function in Mombasa. And today they are there, they celebrated him, they called him a leader, they showered all kinds of words on him.
Yes, so people seem to have forgotten his history, where people kind of said that he's always in the middle and never taking a stand. So has that magically been wiped away? Oruko, what is happening here?
Yeah, the word magic will apply. But I think the moment was not so much for going to the past. Yeah, it's the question of being at the right place, at the right time, maybe in the right company.
Right.
So the right company sort of cleanses you. And I think it was a good day for him, as he says. The atmosphere was great. I think the fanfare, the fanfare, the speeches, they were so robust that goes against anything around Wiper and the issue of being a watermelon, the issue of being a middleman and all that. Or a middle-working man.
You see Oruko today. I saw today Kalonzo doing, the Bolt. He was doing the Bolt sign. Yeah. And if you have looked at what happened in Kasarani today, it also shows that some of the MPs was some of the partners in Wiper, especially Hassan Umar, the senator from Mombasa.
Yeah.
Today was also a very, very big day for him.
Yeah.
And I think I'll be a bit concerned on what is going to happen, especially now for Moses Wetangula, You know, already Musalia Mudavadi has been endorsed by his party. There's Wetangula, and we expect the same to happen for Raila Odinga.
Yes. Yeah. And what you also did what you forget to say, maybe to cap up the big day, was the capture of one man called Farah
Maalim.
He comes in as the deputy party leader. And as you say, he's sort of Wiper expanding beyond its traditional zone, Ukambani, being a Kamba party, to other areas that hitherto were not part of Wiper. So, yeah, it's a good day for Kalonzo. And how he markets himself from here, he has to go right ahead, get support across the country, and if possible, reach out to supporters of ODM and Ford Kenya. That could help him. He has a chance. He has a serious chance to
And
make
what
a
do you make
difference.
of Wetangula not being present at that function? Does that mean anything, or was he otherwise occupied?
Politically, nothing is taken for granted. That's how I'll start. You cannot take anything for granted. Every small thing counts. And his absence there, obviously, will speak volumes. But the question is, was he in the country in the first place? So if he was in the country and he was not there, then there's a big minus. I think he's a big blow. Rather, he's sending a very powerful message. I don't know where he is. I have no idea.
This is the same thing that happened when Wetangula launched his bid in Kakamega. Of course, you know that a tear gas was mysteriously thrown at the dais. And
right.
During the launch of his event, of course, Raila Amolo Odinga missed.
Right.
And today I saw that Wetangula did not attend. But the question has been, what does Wetangula bring to the CORD coalition? I think Wetangula had 9 MPs. 5 of them have already defected.
Right. Let's stick with matters, Kalonzo. And as expected, speaker after speaker at the NDC today at Kasarani were all praises for former Vice President Steven Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo is whetting his appetite to make a stab at the presidency in 2017 after sitting it out in 2013. On his part, the son of Sekuru says he cannot wait to be the flag bearer of the CORD coalition and get support from his peers.
When elected president, my government will pursue and facilitate a review of the Constitution to be able to restructure devolution and allocate more resources to the devolved units. After all, that was a message when we ate tear gas along with my brother Raila and my brother Moses Wetangula. We were saying that Jubilee IEBC must go home. But we're also saying Okoa Kenya. And the time to realize that objective is now.
So watching those pictures there, Kalonzo's image has been completely sanitized. There's no mention of any instability or indecision about him today. Everybody's singing his praises. Is this a change, a real change that we're seeing in the way people perceive the man Kalonzo Musyoka?
No. It's just the moment. It's just a moment. It's just how can I put it? Something that happened that it could change tomorrow, and all those things we're talking about just come back on the table.
Right.
So it was just that. Then there. Maybe things have changed now. But for me, he also sort of underperformed.
Today?
I thought he was supposed to give a very fearless speech, maybe a fearless speech, maybe to show his full transformation. You know, these issues around, like when Raila was speaking around the ICC and the way he spoke around it, it was complete. He took the war right to the president's doorstep.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought
Kalonzo would do
we
today.
should have picked it up.
Yeah.
That one will help him go further to conquer boundaries beyond the Wiper and reach out to ODM and Ford Kenya, people who do not see him as such a strong guy.
As presidential material,
yeah, because
perhaps.
the issues are here now are not so much about, we are looking for a guy who can, the country is looking for a serious candidate. So if you want to reach out to ODM, you must speak the language that people really want to speak. And I thought on that one, he again sort of fell short. But crossing that line.
He knows that. Is there any real chance that he'll reach out across the board and become the
You see what
bearer?
happens. I beg to differ with Oruko because of for these reasons. Kalonzo cannot be a Raila, and that's a fact. Kalonzo is this more of calm politician, is more of Amsalia Mudavadi. You know, Wetangula is a bit more fires, and then, you know, Raila is the really person, like I can say, the revolutionary in all this. So Kalonzo cannot start pretending to be what he cannot be. He has, when he looks, you see one of the reasons that have been given against a Raila president before is that Raila was too competitive. You remember, like in the 2013 elections, one of the things that was being said in, especially in the Kikuyu nation and in Mount Kenya, is if Raila becomes president, will he come and take away all these, what we have, you know, all our wealth? Because most of the guys assume that probably most of the wealth was, you know, illegally obtained. So Kalonzo is not this kind of person. And I didn't listen to his speech today.
Yes.
But Kalonzo has to be himself. The only thing that he's done to shed off is the tag that is a watermelon. And I can say, amekuwa maembe.
But this is the question. What are his credentials? What would a Kalonzo presidency look like, Oruko?
Those are the issues now we are going into.
Yeah.
What he has just said, that more of the same. Yeah.
Where the same is what? Because
that what has been known of watermelon, not taking any hard position on something, you know. You always want to be the nice guy in town and not ruffle feathers, not to destabilize the status quo and all that. I think that's what came out. Because as a politician, I think one of the things we need to do is to know what people want, the feeling of the majority. Why is Raila loved? It's probably because of the language, what he speaks around. So I think politics is all about lying. You want to lie for a moment and get votes, and you know, like our leaders now.
The question you have asked is very important. What does a Kalonzo presidency give Kenyans? I'll ask the same questions. What will a William Ruto presidency give Kenyans? Will people say that William Ruto is a clean person? Will they say he's development cautious? Will they say that, you know, he's calm, he can promote Kenya's foreign policy? These are things that lack when you look at William Ruto as a candidate. But once you look at Kalonzo as a candidate, first, as a, you know, it served quite a lot of time during Moi's regime. Right. And during that time, he really made, you know, he was not revolutionary, I may say that. But after that, he made some gains while he served in the Moi Kibaki government as someone who adheres to foreign policy, and someone who's calm, someone who's collected. And I think that's also something that Kenyans need.
Might look forward to with the Kalonzo presidency if that happens. But now 6 rebel politicians have finally been kicked out of the Wiper Party today. They include Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua and 5 MPs, Joe Mutambu, Kisoi Munyao, Regina Ndambuki, John Munuve, and Richard Makenga. The names of these individuals have been forwarded to the Registrar of Political Parties to deregister them. Meanwhile, the 9 MPs kicked out by ODM will await to hear from the Registrar of Political Parties today to see if their names have been forwarded to the Speaker for their seats to be declared vacant. Right, so things happening all at the same time, it seems. Today was a politically charged day. Yeah. No surprises there, Alfred Mutua has been kicked out of Wiper. What are his prospects, Oruko?
Alfred Mutua?
Yes.
It will be worse, for example. I don't know. For now, it is 50-50, but it could be worse if Kalonzo goes ahead to get the code ticket.
Yes.
It could be very bad for him, and I think that if that ever happens, he should count his politics or political career.
Are you imagining a scenario where Kalonzo gets the code ticket?
That's what I'm saying. Right. If he got, Mutua should at least just migrate and go seek politics in Australia where he studied. But if he doesn't get the ticket, Kalonzo does not go ahead to get, he has a fighting chance. But the problem is that Mutua himself has a very big problem. You even don't know whether his interest is just to play politics, to please some masters, some powerful guy around, or he really wants political power. Because the way he's doing his politics leaves a lot to be desired. You just don't see not a guy who is serious enough to capture power. Even the name of his political party, Maendeleo, Chap Chap.
But isn't development what we want, Kisesa?
What is development?
You see what is happening is that for Mutua, it will depend a lot on what happens in 2017. And the role that Kalonzo is going to play in Kenya's political landscape, whether he gets the code presidential ticket or he doesn't. That's very important. And for Mutua, is balance hangs on the balance that either Wiper becomes weakened or it becomes stronger. But you can see the change which is moving in Lower Eastern Province. You can see currently there are many politicians who are moving back to Wiper. Some of these MPs who have been defrocked by the Wiper, I'm sure if there was a by-election, most of them are going to lose the seats, including
the governor.
The governor, Mtua, with his, is it called Chap Chap?
Maendeleo Chap Chap. Which was my point when I was saying, Oruko, that Ukambani is a Wiper zone.
Yeah,
so
his
chances can't be 50-50 if he's out of the fold, can they?
I said, if in one way or the other, Kalonzo does not get the ultimate Kodi ticket, Mutua will have a fighting chance. It could be 50-50. But it also depends on what he really wants. Because sometimes when you see him, you have a feeling that he just wants to please the Jubilee government, to show him that I'm actually in charge of this region. So because if he wanted the power to fight Kalonzo, I think he would have done these things differently, not sometimes descending to the level of inviting unnecessary wars with Kalonzo just to show I am the big guy here.
Show of might.
Yeah, so he has been doing it wrongly, but if he sits down and thinks and forgets Jubilee for a moment and say, this is my politics, he could have a fighting chance.
And you see, one of the things we're forgetting is the register of political parties.
Yes.
Other than the ESCC, the body I maintain is the most bogus institution that we have in this country, most useless than even the trust.
Give reasons.
ESCC is the most bogus, the most useless public body you have in this country. The other one is the register of political parties. Yeah. I'm sure that we have had an acting register of political parties, Lucy Ndongo, for, is it now 5 or 6? I think she's the most everlasting acting.
Which means she's gotten to know the job. Does it preclude her from doing her job?
Let her get the job.
So I'll be very keen on what the register of political parties is going to do, because the parties have said we don't want these people, these including the 9 ODM rebel MPs.
So is it practical right now to go into by-elections for positions as high up as governor? And the election is just months away.
The argument has been that everlasting acting person is waiting. She got ODM's request a long time ago. Little has been heard. And so the question is, we have been told they are waiting for the 3 months threshold to move closer to the 3 months threshold, because the law is very clear that there's no by-election that can be held 3 months to a general election. So they're going to drag things to that end. There's no parliament now, for example, Parliament comes back in February.
Yes.
That's when, even if the Speaker got them today, I am not imagining the Speaker calling a special session of the House to kick out friendly members of their side. So he'll have to sit and wait maybe until March, within which time we shall say, I don't think we need this, and we shall allow them to go.
All right.
But thanks to an everlasting acting
Unfortunately. But switching gears completely, President Uhuru Kenyatta now claims that some foreign countries are out to influence the upcoming general election. In his address to the nation during the Jamhuri Day celebrations, Uhuru said monies were trickling into the country through NGOs.
Uamuzi ni wa wananchi wetu. Hatutaki tuingiliwe na nchi zingine wakituambia wanatusomesha sijui civic education ati jinsi ya kupiga. Wakenya wanajua kupiga kura. Mkitaka kutusaidia, help the organizations, IEBC and other institutions. Help them. Sio hii magrupu ingine inazunguka huko na mambo ya ukora. Hiyo hatutaki.
Help the IEBC and other organizations. I think part of the duty of the IEBC is actually civic education. Yeah. So, and in this, he sounded very combative, like there was something that he was reacting to. Oruko, do you think there was something that stuck in the side of the president and got him to stand up and come out very strongly against almost imaginary forces?
It's not the first time. I think I'm used to seeing a very combative president, and I'm now used to him. It's not anything strange, and I think there's nothing actually. Maybe the fear. You know, what I know and what I've seen, I have no evidence, but what I've seen, the Jubilee administration, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, are in dire need of something to trigger their,
to rally them and to rally their supporters around them again.
Or rather to put even their own supporters under siege, to see them siege, Last time it was siege, ICC siege. Now we have to get another siege. So foreigners must keep on coming, because he actually even answered himself, right? When he said, Wakenya wanajua kupiga kura, you know. So if they know how to vote, so what is the problem here? There's no problem.
You see what is happening, and this when you look at Nelson Mandela, one of the greatest quotes of Nelson Mandela is that education is the most powerful tool that you can use to change society. And I think the government has reached that point. It knows that it might not able to, to interfere with the IBC process. So now they want to limit the information that is flowing to Kenyans, on knowing what are your voter rights. And this is what these foreign organizations are doing. The president himself is being an hypocrite. First, his father, Jomo Kenyatta, ran from Kenya. He went to Russia. He went to London, where he studied.
And the president himself is foreign educated.
Yeah, the president is foreign educated. All his kids, I've gone to 2 universities in Kenya. I've gone to Kera University. I've gone to the University of Nairobi. I've never seen any of the sons or daughters of the president in those universities.
But beyond that, Gisesa, it troubles me that he speaks out of both sides of his mouth sometimes, because on the one hand, we're talking about foreign direct investment, about tourism numbers, about trade conferences coming to Kenya. These are all foreigners. Yeah. And on the other hand, we don't want them to interfere in certain spheres of our society, like civil society, for example.
The same IBC. Most of the activities of IBC are funded by foreign nations. They are funded by USA, they are funded by DFID,
yes.
They are funded by these
social support. All these things are supported by donors. So why take such a strong stance against it?
I have said there's nothing. The Jubilee, from what we can see, is in serious trouble. So you want to, for me, the only purpose where that statement came was we are trying to look for something to rally, to put our supporters under siege and maybe give us something to tell Kenyan voters. Because, like yesterday's speech has been roundly been condemned by everybody, including illiterate people, that it was just more of the same thing that we have been having over the last 5 years. Talk about SGR, you want to talk about steamer in Manyatta.
But those are actual things that the Jubilee government has been able to accomplish. We cannot run away from that fact.
Let me tell you, I think don't be like them. Development is not even SGR. What is called sustainable development, There's no point of building a very expensive railway line when people are starving. And that's why people cannot have no connection with this so-called development.
So they're short-term and then they're long-term goals. I think
short-term is me having food and treatment and education and water.
Precisely, and then long-term is having a railway line that can transport goods from the port of Mombasa.
So you start with the long-term, then you forget me. You see, the reason why there's no connection between this electricity and me is that, one, I cannot even afford to pay the unit cost. One, I have no capacity. Number two, the laptops,
But would you rather that they just sit down and don't do anything?
No, do the basics. That let them feed starving Kenyans.
Really, the question is,
I think it will be easy.
The question is, what is the president afraid of? Is he afraid that Kenyans will become a more informed society, so they are able to make decisions against his government in the next general election? And these are things that the president should become clear, because this is not the first time that foreign organizations are involved in civic education in this country. They have been involved. And I hear that he said about IBC. I can say with a fact that where I come from Tutu Masava constituency. The last time I saw IBC officials was during the mass voter registration. Before that was during the 2013 general election. You go to the offices, they have no maps for training people, they have no manuals, they are not doing this. IBC officers are always not in the offices. And this is the reason why these foreign organizations are coming in to gap some of these holes.
Yes, and speaking of donor monies coming into this country, if you think back to the Moi days, the money went directly to NGOs because they didn't trust the government. Kibaki came in and a bit of trust was restored, so money started flowing back to the government again. So what has happened that we're back in this situation where foreign donors and international NGOs are saying they really want to go back to funding the NGOs directly? This might be a problem of our current administration, don't you think, Oruko?
Yeah, exactly. And that I keep on saying, they realize they're losing ground. And this mantra around SGR is not selling. So you must get a narrative to show people that we are actually in charge. Actually, even if you give me small money when I'm in trouble, why would I forget, for example? But if you give me a car when I obtain another car, I don't think I'll even remember that car. Because, so that is what the administration is having. You give me something that is very far away from me. They used to call it Afghanistanism. You handle a problem that is very far away from me that I even don't know what's all about.
But bottom line, Kisesa, all these things that they're doing, the last mile electricity project, the SGR, the free maternity in as much as that is working, the free education, the pension plan, the social welfare for old people, all these things eventually are going going to benefit Kenyans. So are we suffering from a problem of we're just not patient enough to wait for these things to come to fruition?
As an economist, there's a very important point you have said that eventually they will benefit Kenyans. But as a financial economist, I ask myself a question: at what cost are they going to benefit Kenyans?
And also the reason why, for example, why has the opposition come up? It's the issue around corruption, right? Raila was, I think there's a time politically Raila was dead and buried. Up to 2014, Raila had no direction. Yes. It was something around Eurobond that revived Raila. And whenever this corruption is talked about, it always seems to get under Uhuru's skin, you know.
Right, let's find some direction now, Oruko. And the Jubilee government has transferred coordination of the NGO sector from the Devolution Ministry to the Ministry of Interior. The move is widely believed to be connected to President Uhuru Kenyatta's statement that foreign monies are making their way into the country to influence the election. Moving the NGO function to the Interior Ministry under the Office of the President is a move expected to start a crackdown on non-governmental organizations. Right, so it just goes on and on and on and on, because now it seems that civil society has become a matter of national security if we're moving it into the Interior Ministry. So it's like a leaf out of Moi's playbook, Gisesa, don't you think so?
You see what, if you look at the history of Africa, during colonization period, the Mzungu came with the Bible. He came with religion. He was able to colonize us. And then we went immediately after independence. Of course, there was the war between, you know, the Cold War and the rest, which influenced a lot. And then in the recent past, especially in the 20 years, some of these foreign organizations have played very important roles where the government has not been able to. Right. One of the things I've done is to expose the ills done by the government to make the governments more accountable, and like this civic education. And Uhuru's government since he came to power, he's wanted to stifle the powers of the civil societies. If you look at from the start, there's a time when they cancelled, you know, the registration of 100 non-government organizations, and then they moved to move them from, and then they drafted the, you know, anti-terrorism bill, yes, which failed. So the move to move these things from Interior Ministry to security is to use a security excuse to stifle the powers and the voice of these non-government organizations.
One, I think I will say there's much more to it than merely the transfer of this department to Interior. There's much more to it than merely the, you know, donations going to NGOs. Yeah. And he answered that very well. He said it's not the first time that foreign countries are, you know, giving
us money.
What we need to know, the history. We need to put the history, the relationship between these two sides. Of course, Jubilee administration has never been happy with NGOs. They accuse them of, whenever ICC is mentioned, NGOs are not very far away.
Not too far away.
We also had during those trials that the evidence was gathered by NGOs. Society, yes. So the relationship has not been very good. So that one explains it. It's just a continuation of what has been there since this administration came to power. Right. But going back to the point is that there's something around this, the transfer of this department comes at a time when somebody was supposed to have been fired. A man with no degree, a man with no, and you know that man, he has no degree, he has no nothing, even his father has disowned him. That is when these things happened.
I'm hearing that for the first time.
Please expound.
About the father disowning him. I'm hearing
that for the first time. There's a man called Fazul, right? Who everybody, there's a general consensus that he doesn't meet minimum qualification. And I'm using this to even, the Office of the Ombudsman has told us, this man, we actually need to investigate how he even ended up in the public service.
All right. But then, so the coincidence is what? That is coming up at the same time?
Maybe he's a very powerful guy, you see, to make the president act that way. That's how I see it. A cheat makes the government act that way. And the guy is still in office, by the way.
Right.
Protected by the courts.
So to use a cliche, it looks like we're going back to the dark days.
Oh, yeah. We are already there.
Civil society was stifled actively, and especially in the run-up to the next general election.
But also, first, I'd love to say that Fazul Mohammed is my friend. And these are some of the issues that, as a friend, I've raised to him. I've told them that you're not moving this sector in the right direction. And of course, I've also told him that he needs to explain about his academic qualifications or lack of academic qualifications.
Although you need to stress that having academic qualifications does not necessarily qualify you for a position of leadership. It does not necessarily.
It does qualify you.
It does not, Oruko. It's just a record of a course that you studied. It does not necessarily say you have leadership skills. That's what I'm saying.
Don't confuse things. Please.
The reason is why the government is both right and wrong. First of all, that is trying to stiff for these non-government organizations. But also ask yourself, what have these NGOs been doing for us in the recent past? How active have they been in improving the lives of the ordinary person? You know, you remember the days of Cyprian Nyamwamu, the days of Ombati, when they used to be very, very active. These days, what I see is a lot of policy work, a lot of billing, and a lot of getting cash. I don't, actually, personally, I don't get to feel them. I don't get to feel them. I can't stand on the pulpit and say, I'll defend NGOs with my life. I can't.
But that, you should not ever say that we can do without civil society, no matter how bad they have gotten. But hold the thoughts. Yeah. Hold the thoughts. And go to the Twitter poll. Tonight we're asking you, do you think foreign countries are trying to influence the 2017 general election? Do you think foreign countries are trying to influence the 2017 general election? You can tweet me at Julie Masiga, at KTN News. The hashtag is News Sources. Right now we're going for a break. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.